If you want to know how the Rhode Island economy is doing, one good measure is how the area small business community thinks the economy is doing. Mark Murphy is the editor of the Providence Business News. The cover story in the current edition of the paper outlines the results of the paper's Winter 2019 Business Survey. So in summary, what do the business people you surveyed think about what just happened and what's going to happen?
Well, they think that they've just had a good year, and they're a little bit uneasy about the coming year.
All right. Is this a normal caution that they tend to express, or are there other factors?
No, I think we saw some changes in the sentiment, and really this is a sentiment, and we caution people not to think that this is every business, because it's a relatively small sample, and it's the people who are connected to us. But the idea here is that they said last year's net income was the same or better, most of them. Some of them are, but some of them are saying their expectations for business going forward are not quite as positive. So they're, like I said, they're a little bit uneasy, and I think it's local but also national conditions.
Yeah, that is in fact the first item on our list. They think that the activity is slowing. Do the experts agree? For example, URI's business whiz, Mr. Mazie.
Well, he thinks that actually 2019 could be a really good year. He said that, the fundamentals of the economy, despite what their expectations are actually pretty strong. I mean, you have the low unemployment. The problem with sometimes is that expectations can become self-fulfilling, and so you have to be very careful about being too positive. But Ed really thinks it's probably going to be a pretty good year.
This often comes up in these kinds of surveys for the business community. They're worrying about rising health care costs.
Well, I look at that and say, this is sort of the back to basics, which is that in the past they were worried about other kinds of things a little bit more. For instance, worker shortage. I think some of them see the programs put in place by the state as relieving some of that pressure. But healthcare costs, and again, here we talk about uncertainty. Who knows what's going to happen on the national level and what's going to happen on the state level? And so they're worrying about, if they're worrying about their business, they have to look at their cost structure in order to maintain their bottom line. So healthcare costs, I think a lot of them are seeing they could go up, or they're worried about they could go up.
Another thing they've been complaining about for a long time is Rhode Island really business friendly with the over-regulation. This is the third one on our list.
Well, the concern about regulation seems to be dropping as well as cost. It's a change in sentiment, but we can't tell whether that's, how deep that is. One thing that we can say is there was a strong sentiment for, reducing the corporate tax, and that since that has happened, the idea that needs to happen has dropped as a number one priority.
They have a lot more to say about where the economy is going. Current edition of the Providence Business News in print or online. And Mark Murphy, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Frank.